The sky was empty, not in the way it might be described on a cloudy night, where the stars were hidden beneath thick layers of darkness. No, the sky above was an impenetrable void, a vast chasm of nothingness. No stars, no planets, no sign of life. It was as if the very fabric of the universe had been shredded, and whatever remained was left to rot, floating in silence. And in the center of it all, like a sickened eye watching over the land, hung the hollow moon. It was not the pale, serene beauty one might expect from the moon. There was nothing serene about it. The hollow moon was a floating mass of cracked, black stone that emitted a low hum, a sound like something dying. Its surface was pockmarked with craters, but not from time or natural erosion. No, this moon had been carved by something else, something ancient, something cursed. Every night, it would hover above us, casting down its beams of destructive energy. Not enough to incinerate, but just enough to burn. The beams would streak across the land, turning the earth to dust in their wake, leaving behind nothing but blackened, lifeless ground. Crops withered, rivers dried, animals ran mad, tearing each other apart in fits of unrelenting madness. The curse was relentless. It had been that way for as long as anyone could remember. Somewhere in the farthest reaches of the land, beyond the charred remnants of once vibrant cities, there were rumors of a group, a band of outcasts, who had decided to do what no one else dared. They sought to end the curse, to kill the hollow moon. I was one of them. My name is Kalen, though I was never one for titles. To call me an outcast would be accurate, but it hardly describes the weight of the things that brought me to this point. I was born in the shadows of the hollow moon, raised amidst the dust and despair that its light cast upon the world. My family had perished in the first wave of its influence. A plague, a sickness. No one could escape it. The moon's curse worked in strange ways. It didn't just turn the land to dust. It twisted everything. I had been left behind, an orphan, a child of the curse itself, and now I was part of a ragtag crew that had no business being together. There was Miri, a woman whose eyes were too old for her youthful face, whose every step was haunted by memories she could barely recall. She was a survivor of the city of Other, a place now lost to the dust. Her family had been consumed by the hollow moon's madness, but she was one of the few to escape, and escape she did. But the curse had left its mark. There were times when she spoke to things that weren't there, things that no one else could see. Then there was Joran, a man of few words, but his presence was heavy with a kind of silent authority. He had been a soldier in the wars before the moon's curse ravaged the world. He was a man of steel, cold, sharp, and unyielding. But there was something broken in him, something he had buried deep inside. Every now and then, I would catch him staring at the sky, his gaze fixed on the hollow moon, and for a brief moment, I would swear I saw something like fear in his eyes. And finally, there was Tessa, small, wiry, and quick-witted. She had the kind of mind that made her invaluable to our mission. She wasn't afraid of the dark, nor was she afraid of the monsters that roamed the land. In fact, she seemed to take a certain joy in teasing them, outsmarting them. But I knew her better than that. Tessa had a darkness of her own, a bitterness that ran deeper than anything she let on. We were a group of broken people, haunted by our pasts, bound together by one thing: the hollow moon's curse. We had been walking for days now. The land beneath our feet was barren, cracked and dry. There was no more vegetation, no more life to be found. Only dust. The hollow, oppressive silence was broken only by the hum of the moon above, a low thrum that reverberated in our bones. It was the sound of the curse, ever-present, never-ending. As we trudged forward, I could feel the weight of the air pressing down on us, thick with the gravity of the moon's pull. It wasn't just the land that was dying. It was everything. Our minds, our bodies. Every step took us deeper into the heart of the wasteland, toward the source of the curse itself. Do you think it's true? Tessa's voice cut through the silence, sharp and biting. She was the one who always asked the questions no one else wanted to ask. Do I think what's true? Joran replied without breaking stride. The stories, she said, about the moon being cursed, about how it was once. Something else. Something alive. I don't care about the stories. Miri spoke, her voice distant, almost hollow. All I care about is stopping it. Whatever it takes. I could feel Miri's pain as she spoke, the weight of her words hanging in the air like a heavy fog. She had lost too much, more than any of us could understand. I glanced over at her, but she wasn't looking at me. Her eyes were fixed on the horizon, as if she were searching for something, some hope that was far beyond our reach. I've heard the same stories, I said, breaking the silence. The hollow moon wasn't always like this. It used to be a source of life, of power. But something happened. No one knows for sure what caused it to change, but the curse is older than any of us. I felt a pang of uncertainty in my chest. We were heading toward the moon source, but what would we find when we got there? Would we even be able to survive the influence of the hollow moon once we were close enough? And more importantly, would we be able to stop it? The closer we got, the harder it became to ignore the pull of the moon. It wasn't just the land that was dying. It was us too. We camped that night, but sleep was elusive. The hollow moon hung above us, casting an eerie light over the barren landscape. It was as if it were watching, waiting for something. In the middle of the night, I awoke to the sound of whispers. At first, I thought it was the wind, but when I opened my eyes, I saw Miri standing, staring up at the moon. Her mouth moved as if she were speaking to someone, though no one else was around. I rose quietly and approached her, my feet crunching softly on the dust-covered ground. "Miri," I called, my voice barely a whisper. "Miri, what are you doing?" She turned slowly, her eyes wide and unblinking, her face pale under the moon's glow. "It's calling me," she murmured, her voice distant, far away. "It's calling me home." I felt a shiver crawl down my spine. There was something wrong, something deeply wrong. Miri wasn't herself. Not anymore. The next day, Miri was different. It wasn't just her quiet, vacant stare, nor the strange, disjointed way she spoke. It was something deeper. She walked with an odd kind of purpose, as though the moon had claimed her as its own, a puppet whose strings were pulled by unseen hands. Tessa noticed first. She was always the perceptive one, always the first to pick up on the subtle shifts that the rest of us would ignore. "Miri," she said sharply, grabbing her arm. "Snap out of it. What did you see last night?" Miri didn't respond. Her eyes glazed over, and for a moment, I wondered if she even remembered speaking to me. "Let her be," Joran said gruffly. He was always the one who tried to keep things steady, keep us moving forward. But his voice lacked the usual conviction today. There was an edge to it, like the weight of something unbearable pressing down on him. "I'm not letting her go like this," Tessa spat. "She's slipping away, Joran. We need to get her back before it's too late." But Joran's eyes weren't on Miri. They were locked on the horizon, where the hollow moon loomed larger with every passing moment. The nearer we got, the more oppressive the air became. I could feel it in my skin, like 1,000 tiny needles pressing into me just beneath the surface. The pull of the moon was growing stronger. "Enough!" Joran's voice was firm now, but it wasn't convincing anyone, least of all me. "We keep moving. We don't have time to waste on something we can't control." I turned away from the others, casting a glance at Miri as I did. She was standing there, staring at the ground, her lips moving in a soft, unintelligible mutter. Her breath came in slow, shallow gasps. It was as though she were fighting something inside her mind, but whatever it was winning. The curse had claimed her, just as it had claimed so many others. As the hours stretched into the late afternoon, the landscape shifted. The horizon, once sharp and clear, had become a blur of darkness, the land itself appearing twisted, like a nightmare struggling to tear free from its confines. There was no turning back now. The land had changed. The air was thick with the scent of rot and decay, and even the sky above seemed to darken with every step we took. We were nearing the heart of the curse. "We're close," Tessa said, her voice almost a whisper. It didn't sound like her usual bravado. There was fear in her tone now. It was impossible not to feel it. "I can feel it," Miri murmured, her voice hollow. "It's pulling me in. It's calling." Joran didn't say anything. He was too focused on the path ahead, too intent on pushing forward. His pace had quickened, though none of us spoke about it. I glanced at him, wondering what was running through his mind. I knew that look in his eyes, the same haunted look that had been in mine ever since I lost my family to the curse. I didn't ask him about it. There was no point. We all carried the same burden. The ground beneath us had begun to crumble as the air grew colder. Jagged rocks now jutted from the earth, black and sharp, like teeth waiting to tear us apart. The moon above had begun to shimmer with an unearthly light, casting strange, elongated shadows across the terrain. We weren't just walking through a wasteland anymore. We were walking through a world that was being consumed from within by something darker, more ancient. Miri let out a low gasp. We all turned to look at her, but her eyes were fixed on something else, something beyond us. "The darkness is here," she said softly. "It's already in us." Before we could respond, there was a loud, reverberating crack, a sound like the earth itself splitting open. The ground trembled beneath our feet, and for a moment, I thought we might all be swallowed whole by the chasm that was forming beneath us. Joran grabbed my arm. "Move! Now!" he barked. Without thinking, we all broke into a run. The tremors grew stronger, the cracks in the earth widening, and a sickening howl, low and guttural, echoed through the land, sending a chill through my spine. The noise was unnatural, like it was coming from beneath the earth, from the very heart of the curse itself. We didn't look back. We couldn't. The landscape shifted again as we ran, twisting and warping around us. It was no longer a barren wasteland but a shifting labyrinth, each turn leading us deeper into the heart of the hollow moon's power. The air was thick, like the atmosphere itself was alive, watching, waiting, and then we saw it. At the center of this twisted labyrinth stood a massive black spire, an obsidian tower that stretched high into the sky, piercing the very fabric of the moon's light. It was as if the moon itself had birthed it, its dark tendrils crawling up from the earth to form the tower. There were no windows, no doors, only smooth black stone, cold and lifeless. It was here that the curse originated. It was here that the hollow moon's power had taken root, and now we were standing at its threshold. I could feel it, the pulse of the moon, beating through the stone. It was like the tower was alive, thrumming with a kind of dark energy. Every fiber of my being screamed at me to turn around, to run, to escape. But I knew there was no escape now. "This is it," Joran said, his voice almost a whisper. Miri had stopped moving. Her eyes were locked on the spire, her face pale as death. "It's waiting for me. You have to fight it, Miri," I said, my voice rough. "You can't give in." But Miri didn't answer. Instead, she stepped forward, her movements slow, deliberate, like she was walking toward her own grave. "Stay back," I shouted, but my words fell on deaf ears. She was already too far gone. I watched in horror as Miri reached out, her hand brushing against the cold stone of the tower. And then nothing. She simply vanished into the darkness, as if she had never been there at all. The moon above hummed louder now, and I could feel the madness creeping into my mind. The curse was not just of the body, it was of the soul. And as the tower loomed over us, I realized that we had only just begun to understand the true nature of the hollow moon's power. The loss of Miri shook us to the core. We didn't speak about it. There were no words that could be said to make sense of what had happened. She was gone, lost to whatever dark force resided within the tower. But we had come too far to turn back. "We need to find a way in," Joran said, his voice tight with the weight of our loss. He stood before the spire, eyes narrowed, as though he could will it to open. I could feel the pull now, stronger than ever before. The influence of the moon was overwhelming, like a presence inside my head, whispering promises of power and death. I turned to Tessa. "Are you ready?" Her face was pale, her eyes wide, but there was something else there now, a spark of determination. "We have no choice," she replied quietly. And so we moved forward, the weight of the curse pressing down on us with each step. As we neared the tower, the ground beneath our feet seemed to give way, as if the earth itself were trying to consume us. I stumbled, but Joran grabbed my arm, steadying me. His grip was strong, but his face was grim. We were too close now. There was no turning back. We reached the base of the tower just as the last vestiges of daylight disappeared behind the moon's oppressive light. The air grew colder, sharper. I could feel the very bones of the earth tremble beneath my feet, like it was alive, like it was waiting for us to make the final move. I tried to steady my breathing, but the air seemed thicker, each inhalation heavier, like the very act of breathing was an effort. The tower stretched impossibly high into the starless sky above, its surface smooth and featureless. No windows, no doors, just endless black stone, reaching for something that wasn't there. At its peak, I swore I saw something shift, an indistinct shadow flitting across the surface, but when I blinked, it was gone. Tessa was the first to move. She stepped up to the base of the tower, her hand reaching toward the stone. The moment her fingers brushed the surface, there was a flash of cold, and she recoiled sharply, a gasp escaping her lips. It's cold. Unnatural. Her voice trembled slightly, but there was no mistaking the fear that laced her words. Joran stood back, his arms crossed, eyes scanning the tower's base with an intensity that betrayed his growing unease. We need to get inside. The longer we stand here, the more the moon's influence will take hold. I nodded, though I wasn't so sure. The closer we came to this place, the more I felt the weight of the curse pressing down on me. It wasn't just the land that was rotting, it was us. Inside, something was waiting. I could feel it in my bones. Something far darker than we could ever imagine. I stepped forward, reaching out to touch the stone. The moment my fingers made contact, the ground beneath us shook violently. A low, grinding sound filled the air, like the very earth was shifting. And then, a crack appeared in the tower's surface, running from top to bottom, splitting the stone open like an enormous wound. The tower was alive. It was a slow, deliberate opening, like the tower itself had been holding its breath, and now it was finally exhaling. I felt the air rush toward us, cold and damp, carrying with it the scent of decay, of something ancient and foul. "Get ready," Joran said, his voice sharp as the wind that howled from within. We go in. The entrance was a gaping maw, black as the void, stretching wide enough to swallow us whole. The stone walls around us seemed to pulse with the beat of the moon, their movements barely perceptible, like the land itself was breathing, alive with the curse. Tessa hesitated at the threshold, her hand hovering near the entrance. I could see the fear in her eyes, the same fear that had settled in my gut, gnawing at my insides. "I don't like this," she whispered. "Something's wrong." But there was no turning back. I pushed forward, stepping into the darkness. Inside, it was worse than I had imagined. The air felt thick, oppressive, pressing in from all sides, as though the very walls were closing in. It was not a natural darkness. It was a living, breathing thing that seemed to warp the space around us. The walls, if they could even be called walls, shifted, changing shape and texture as we walked, their smooth surfaces turning rough, like the flesh of some great beast. Strange symbols flickered on the walls, their shapes shifting and changing with every passing second, as if they were alive and trying to convey something. Something we could not understand. At the center of the tower was a large circular chamber. In the center of that chamber was a pulsing, dark mass. It was as if the very heart of the tower, and perhaps the moon itself, was beating from within. The sound of it echoed through the chamber, a deep, rhythmic thrum that seemed to reverberate in my skull. I could feel my heartbeat speeding up, my body tensing. Whatever this place was, it wasn't just a ruin. It was a living thing, an extension of the curse itself. Joran stepped forward, his hand reaching toward the pulsing mass at the center. "No," I said, my voice shaking. "Don't touch it." But it was too late. The moment his hand made contact with the mass, There was a blinding flash of light, and a deafening roar filled the chamber. It was the sound of something ancient awakening, something terrible. I tried to move, to run, but the room seemed to warp around us, twisting like a nightmare. The walls closed in, and the floor buckled beneath our feet, sending us all crashing to the ground. The pulse of the tower grew louder, more intense, and the light from the center of the room flared brighter. And then, everything went silent. When I awoke, I was lying on cold stone, the taste of dust and blood in my mouth. My head throbbed, and I could feel the world spinning around me. It was hard to focus, hard to see straight. I pushed myself up, blinking against the dim light that seemed to filter through cracks in the tower's walls. The pulse from the center of the chamber had stopped, but I could still feel it, an echo in my chest, like the remnants of some great force that had been unleashed. The others were stirring, too. Tessa was on her knees, clutching her head, her face pale. Joran was still lying on the ground, his body twitching as if he were trying to fight something off. And then there was Miri. She had returned, but not as she had been. She stood in the center of the chamber, her body trembling, her eyes wide and unblinking. Her skin had taken on a strange hue, almost as though it were turning to stone, black veins coursing beneath her flesh. The light from the pulsing mass in the center of the room reflected off her eyes, and I could see nothing. There was no soul behind them, just a hollow emptiness. "Miri," I called, but my voice sounded weak, distant. She turned slowly, her movements stiff, as though she were no longer entirely human. "It's too late," she said, her voice distorted, as if something was wrong with the way she spoke. "It's already begun. The curse is inside me, inside all of us." I stepped back, horror crawling up my spine. "No, Miri." But she wasn't Miri anymore. She was something else. Something that had been twisted by the power of the hollow moon, a creature bound to its will. And as she took a step toward us, I realized the truth. The curse had already claimed her. The curse would claim us all. Joran rose, his movements jerky, almost unnatural. He glanced at Miri, then at me, and then at Tessa. This isn't what we came for," he said, his voice low, barely above a whisper. "This isn't what I thought it would be." His face was pale, his eyes wide with something I couldn't quite place. Fear, maybe, but it wasn't just fear. It was the dawning realization that there was no way out. We had come too far, and the moon's influence was already beginning to warp our minds. Miri's lips curled into something like a smile. "You came here to stop it, but you're already too late. The moon has seen you. It has claimed you." I tried to speak, but the words caught in my throat. The tower was alive, and it was feeding off our fear, our confusion. The curse was inescapable, and now it was closing in on us. I took a step backward, my heart pounding in my chest, but there was nowhere to run. The moon's power was all around us. The silence that followed Miri's words was suffocating. The air was thick with tension, and I could feel the weight of it pressing down on me, suffocating me from all sides. Her transformation was complete, but I didn't know whether to grieve for her or to run for my life. Miri, the woman who had once been our friend, was now nothing more than a vessel, consumed by the power of the hollow moon. She didn't look like herself anymore. Her eyes were dark, empty pits, and the strange black veins that coursed beneath her skin were like creeping tendrils, spreading further with each passing second. I could feel her gaze on me, though it was more like the absence of a gaze, an endless void. It made my skin crawl. "Stay back," I whispered, backing up slowly, but it was already too late. Her voice, distorted, like a chorus of many, or perhaps none, echoed in the chamber. "You think you came here to stop the curse," she said, her voice vibrating in my bones. "But you're already part of it. The moon sees you now. You are its children." Tessa, still on her knees, clenched her fists, her knuckles white. "I don't care what the moon thinks. I'm not like you." Her voice trembled, but there was a fire in her words. Joran's gaze never wavered from Miri. His eyes were full of something I couldn't name: regret, horror, and something else. A longing, maybe, or a kind of resignation. It was as if he had known, even before we entered the tower, that this was the price we would pay. I reached out to him. "Joran, don't." But it was too late. The pulse from the tower, once barely perceptible, began to grow again. A low, rhythmic hum that vibrated in the air and seemed to resonate deep within my chest. The ground trembled once more, but this time, it wasn't an earthquake. The stone beneath us was shifting, rearranging itself, as if the tower itself was alive, its architecture twisting and warping like flesh. "Get out of here," I said, my voice suddenly stronger, more urgent. "We need to leave." But Joran stood motionless, staring at Miri, his eyes glazed, and for the briefest moment, I thought I saw something akin to longing flicker in his expression. The curse wasn't just claiming their bodies. It was claiming their minds. I stepped forward, ready to drag him away if I had to. But the tower groaned again, louder this time, and the walls around us seemed to ripple, like the surface of a disturbed pond. The ground split wide open beneath us. A deep, guttural sound emerged from the chasm. A growl, low and otherworldly. I couldn't move. I looked at Tessa, whose wide eyes reflected the terror I felt in my own chest. She was frozen in place, as if the air itself had turned to stone around her. And then she whispered, almost to herself, "We're not getting out of here, are we?" No one answered her. The earth rumbled again, louder this time, and I felt the floor beneath me crack. I had no choice but to brace myself as the ground split open in front of us, revealing a yawning abyss of swirling darkness below. The very depths of the tower. The abyss. The hollow moon's influence was pulling at us, dragging us toward that endless void. I could feel it, could hear it now, the whispers, the promises, the hunger that filled the air. "Move!" I shouted, lunging forward and grabbing Joran by the arm. But he didn't respond. His body was rigid, like he was held in place by some invisible force. His eyes were fixed on Miri, no, on the thing she had become. "It's not her anymore," I said, my voice breaking. "Joran, you have to fight this." But Joran was already slipping away from me, his arms slipping from my grasp, his body moving, almost mechanically, toward Miri, toward the curse. "No," Tessa whispered, her eyes wide with panic.
Joran, no.
I pulled at him again, but it was like pulling a dead weight. His body was stiff with something darker now, something that the tower had imprinted on him. And then I saw it. A shape emerged from the abyss below, a mass of writhing shadows and twisted forms. Eyes, hundreds of them, blinking in and out of existence, shifting like liquid, their shapes constantly changing. A thing not human, not even close, rose from the depths. A shadow of nightmares. A creature born from the very essence of the curse. It had no form, no definitive shape, just a swirling mass of tendrils and eyes, its body shifting like liquid darkness. And within its core, I could sense the hollow moon itself, a dark, pulsating heart. It was waiting for us. Tessa screamed, and I felt the air around us constrict. The creature, no, the presence, rose higher, a dark force that seemed to seep into every crack in the tower's structure. I could feel the gravity of it, pulling at me, dragging me toward that abyss. "Get away from it!" I yelled, pulling Joran as hard as I could. He was still stiff, still under whatever thrall the tower had placed on him. But Miri, or whatever she had become, was moving now, too. She was approaching the mass of writhing darkness, her steps slow, deliberate, as though she were marching toward some unfathomable end. The creature's form seemed to pulse in time with her movements. There was a symbiosis between them, an unholy connection between Miri, the curse, and the creature at the heart of the abyss. Tessa was by my side now, her eyes wild with terror. "What the hell is that thing?" "The heart of the curse," I breathed, my voice hoarse. "That's what the tower was made for, to contain it, to keep it from reaching the world." Miri's hollow voice echoed from across the chamber. "The tower is not a prison. It is a vessel. The moon is the master. I am its servant." And then she turned, her gaze fixing on us. Her lips curled into something that could have been a smile. The end is here. I felt it then. The weight of the words. The moon wasn't just a curse. It was a force, alive, breathing, and hungry for everything in its path. And now it was reaching out to claim us. It was too late. Joran was completely gone now. His body moving under the power of the curse, his mind a shattered reflection of itself. His eyes were fixed on the creature, but he wasn't looking at it. He was looking through it, as if his very essence was already lost to it. I couldn't stop him. Tessa looked at me, desperation in her eyes. We have to do something. We can't just let it happen. I didn't know what we could do. The curse had already claimed us, just as Miri had said. There was no escape. I stepped forward, my hand shaking as I reached out. But before I could take another step, the creature's gaze, if you could call it that, fell on me. Its many eyes blinked in a horrific pattern, and for a moment, everything stopped. I could hear the whispers in my mind, the same whispers I had heard faintly in the air as we entered the tower. But now they were clearer, louder, more insistent. They were no longer distant voices. They were mine. It was inside me. I will consume you all. The creature's voice echoed in my skull. The abyss will rise, and the moon will reign. I dropped to my knees, my vision blurring, the whispers growing louder, more deafening, until I thought my head might split open. And then darkness. I woke in darkness. The air was thick, almost choking. A distant ringing in my ears pulsed in time with my heart, and I felt as though my bones were made of lead, heavy and unyielding. I could taste blood in my mouth, and when I raised my hand to my face, it was trembling, slick with sweat and dirt. My breath came in ragged gasps, shallow and unsteady, like I couldn't quite grasp the air around me. I was still inside the tower, but something was wrong. I pushed myself up, my vision swimming as I forced my body to rise. The ground was cold beneath me, the stones slick and wet with something I couldn't name. I glanced around, trying to make sense of where I was. The chamber was still the same, a vast, circular room with shifting walls that seemed to pulse with dark energy. But it felt different now. The walls were closer. The space felt smaller, as if the tower had grown in on itself. The ceiling was low, and the floor felt like it was slanting toward the center, like we were all sinking into the abyss below us. A low, guttural sound echoed from somewhere in the chamber. I wasn't alone. I turned my head toward the source of the sound and saw her. Miri, or what was left of her. She was kneeling on the ground, her body trembling, her black-veined skin pulsating in time with the beat of the tower. Her head was lowered, but I could see her eyes empty, hollow, fixated on the creature at the center of the room. It was there, in all its monstrous, shape-shifting horror, its countless eyes blinking in unnatural rhythms, as though it were watching everything and nothing all at once. The abyss had taken root in this place, and in us. Miri, I whispered, stepping toward her. She didn't respond. Her lips parted, but the words that came out were not her own. You should not have come, she murmured, her voice distorted and broken. You were always meant to be part of the moon. I tried to move closer to her, but something stopped me. Pressure. A weight in the air. Don't. Tessa's voice came from behind me, sharp and filled with warning. I spun around to face her. She was standing a few feet away, her back to the wall, her face pale and drawn. There was a wildness in her eyes now, an edge of panic. Tessa! My voice cracked. What's happening? I don't know, she said, her hands shaking. But I can feel it. It's inside my head. I hear it. The voices. Her breath came out in uneven gasps, and I realized she was trembling too, more violently than I had seen before. We need to get out of here, she whispered, her voice breaking. We can't fight this. It was then that I realized something had changed within me. Too. The whispers were getting louder. I could hear them, see them, feel them. They were no longer just a distant noise. The curse was working its way into me, into all of us. The presence was feeding off our fear, our despair. We were being consumed. Joran was still there, standing motionless at the center of the room, his eyes fixed on the abyss. But it wasn't just the abyss he was staring at. It was Miri, too. She was calling to him, her voice now more insistent, more like the thing she had become. "You're mine now, Joran," Miri whispered, her lips barely moving. Her eyes flickered as she spoke, the pupils shifting like oil in water. "Come to me. Come to the moon." I saw Joran's hand twitch, and for the briefest moment, I thought he might break free, might snap out of whatever trance he was under. But his face was slack, his eyes vacant. He wasn't listening to us anymore. He was listening to her. And then he stepped forward. I tried to run toward him, to stop him, but it was like running through molasses. My limbs felt slow, distant, like they belonged to someone else. The whispers grew louder, filling my skull with their maddening hum, until I couldn't tell where the whispers ended and my thoughts began. Joran reached Miri, and when he touched her, the tower shifted. The walls groaned and creaked as if something ancient was waking beneath the stone. Tessa screamed. "No!" she cried, reaching for Joran. But her hand, like mine, was moving through air too thick to break. The presence in the room grew, swelling like a storm in the distance, and I could feel it. Feel it inside me, twisting, pulling, burrowing deeper into my mind. The abyss, the curse, it was no longer just a force outside of us. It was inside. It was us. I don't know how much time passed. Minutes? Hours? Time felt irrelevant now, like it had no meaning anymore. The tower had changed. Its walls were pulsing, writhing like living flesh. The shadows had deepened, and the air was thick with a kind of pressure that made it hard to breathe. Miri and Joran were both gone. There was nothing left of them. Just husks, empty and soulless. They had merged with the abyss, become part of its vast, consuming emptiness. I could still hear their voices. No, not their voices, but the echo of them, whispering in my mind, urging me to join them, to surrender. But I couldn't. Tessa and I were the last ones left, though I wasn't sure how long that would last. We were both being pulled into something, pulled toward the center of the chamber, toward the heart of the tower, toward the thing that was waiting. "We can't fight it," Tessa gasped, her voice trembling. "We're already gone. Can't you feel it?" I could feel it. I could feel it deep inside me. The curse wasn't just an outside force, it was inside. It was a part of me now. My skin felt too tight, like it was stretched over something unnatural. My heart was beating in time with the pulse of the tower, and I could hear the whispers echoing louder with every passing second. "We have to get out," I said, my voice hollow. But Tessa didn't answer. She was staring at the creature in the center of the room now, her eyes glazed, her body trembling as she moved closer. She was listening to the whispers, too. I could see it in the way her body jerked toward the abyss, as though it were drawing her in, pulling her closer with every word. Tessa's hand reached for the creature. I screamed her name, but it was a distant sound, as if I were underwater. I couldn't reach her. And then, in that moment, I understood. There was no escape. We had always been meant to fall. The world was crumbling, disintegrating, warping. I could feel the walls closing in, the air growing thinner, as though every part of me, every part of this place, was being unraveled by the power of the curse. The whispers in my head were no longer just voices. They were thoughts, urges, desires, familiar, twisted like they had always been.
Mine.
Tessa's face was pale, her features frozen in something like terror and rapture. She was kneeling on the floor now, her hands clutching her head as though trying to hold it together. Her body jerked and twitched, the veins beneath her skin pulsing with unnatural blackness. I could feel the same transformation tugging at me, too. It was inside me, under my skin, in my veins, wrapping around my thoughts like tendrils of dark fog. The curse wasn't something external anymore. It was part of us. It was part of me. "No," I whispered, my voice trembling, as I looked at Tessa.
No.
"We can't let it win. We can't give in." But Tessa's eyes were already distant, far away. She didn't look at me. Her lips parted, and I heard it, the song. The one we had heard faintly before in the darkness. It was louder now, clearer, like a lullaby that was slowly sinking into her bones. The sound came from deep within the abyss itself, but it wasn't just a sound. It was a call. A pull. Tessa's mouth moved as if she were speaking, but no words came out. Her hands trembled at her sides, and she stood, her movements stiff, jerking with the same unnatural rhythm as the tower's pulse. She took a step forward and then another, toward the abyss, toward the creature. "No, stop," I shouted, but it was like speaking to a dream. She didn't hear me. She couldn't hear me. I tried to reach for her, but my hands were shaking too badly. The whispers had grown louder, more insistent. They were inside my head, filling my thoughts with madness. "Join us. You were always meant to be part of this. The moon calls. You belong." Tessa's form was blurring now, her body trembling as she moved toward the thing at the heart of the abyss. I couldn't see her clearly anymore. It was like she was dissolving into the air, becoming part of the shadow, part of the curse. A scream tore from my throat, but it was swallowed by the presence that surrounded us. And then, just like that, she was gone. It was just me now, the creature in the center of the chamber. Its mass of writhing tendrils and endless eyes loomed in the center of the room like a thing of nightmare. Its gaze swept over me, and I felt my body freeze. Every inch of me, every cell in my being, was screaming for escape, but there was nowhere to go. The moon's influence was inescapable. I had come to destroy it, but now I could feel it inside me. It had always been inside me. I had always been destined to come here, to succumb to the curse. The tower shuddered, and the walls of the chamber bent inward, the very stones twisting as the air grew heavier, more suffocating. I fell to my knees, gasping for air, as if the very atmosphere had turned to liquid. The world around me tilted, spinning. The creature's voice, or was it the moon's voice, whispered through my mind. "You are part of it now. You were always meant to fall." My heart hammered in my chest as I clawed at my face, my skin suddenly burning with cold. The veins beneath my skin were throbbing now, the darkness spreading up my arms, my legs. Couldn't breathe. Couldn't think. The whispers were no longer whispers, they were commands. They were truths. They had always been truths. The curse, the moon, the abyss, it was all one thing. A force. A hunger. And now it had claimed me. I felt my vision blur, my body tremble, my thoughts splintering. The room around me melted. The walls no longer made sense. The sky outside the tower was a mass of swirling black, like the abyss itself had spilled over the edges of the world. "Come to us," it called, the voice deep and filled with hunger. "You are mine." The ground trembled beneath me, and I realized I was no longer on my knees. I was floating toward the center of the chamber, toward the creature, toward the abyss. It was then that I saw it. The moon. But it wasn't the pale, distant satellite we had seen in the sky. It was close enough that I could see its surface. And what I saw made my blood run cold. The moon was not a rock. It was alive. A vast, pulsing, throbbing mass, its surface shifting like skin, its craters swirling with dark light. It was the source of the curse, the heart of everything that had brought us here. And now it was drawing me in, drawing us all in. I felt my body being torn apart. It was as though the very fabric of my being was being unraveled. My skin stretched and twisted, my bones breaking and reforming, all in time with the pulse of the moon. And then I heard it, a scream, my own scream, but it wasn't just me. It was all of us. The moon had claimed us all. I opened my eyes, or did I? It was hard to tell. I couldn't feel anything anymore. Not the cold stone beneath me, not the pressure in my chest, not even the whispers. The world was dark, silent. I was alone. Or was I? I looked around, and the shadows moved. They shifted like they were alive. The moon, the thing at the center of the abyss, was no longer just above us. It was inside me. It was in everything. The very air I breathed, the space around me was filled with it. "Welcome," the voice said. It wasn't a voice at all, really. It was thoughts, feelings, truths, all bound together into one incomprehensible whole. I felt myself slipping. The me that had come here was gone. The curse had taken everything. There was nothing left of the person I had been. You belong now. I tried to scream again, but my mouth was silent. I didn't have a mouth. I didn't have a body anymore. I was nothing. And yet I knew. I understood. The curse had always been part of me. It had always been part of us all. The hollow moon had not come to the world. It had come to us, and we were its final offering. The air in the tower was thick with the stench of decay and something older, ancient, forgotten. Every step I took seemed to echo off the walls, reminding me that I wasn't alone. But the truth was, I hadn't been alone for a long time. I could still hear the whispers, faint but insistent, tugging at the edges of my thoughts. The curse was inside me now, feeding off the fear, the pain, the regret. It was consuming me piece by piece. And no matter how far I tried to run, I kept coming back here, to the heart of the tower. But something had changed. There were parts of the tower I didn't recognize. New corridors, rooms that shouldn't have existed. The place was shifting like it was alive. As I walked deeper into its dark heart, I saw something that stopped me in my tracks. A door, old, weathered, with strange markings etched into the wood. I had passed it before. How many times had I walked this path? But now it seemed different. It was calling me, pulling me toward it. I reached out to touch the door, but my hand faltered. I wasn't sure if I was ready to confront what lay beyond. But I couldn't turn away. Not now. The whispers were growing louder, and I knew they wouldn't stop until I understood. I pushed the door open. The room was small, dark, but not empty. The walls were covered in ancient symbols, the air thick with the smell of incense and burnt parchment. There was a table in the center, covered with books, scrolls, and objects I couldn't begin to identify. In the center of the room stood a mirror. I approached it slowly, my reflection distorted, flickering like a shadow. But it wasn't my face that stared back at me. It was someone else's, someone I recognized, but couldn't quite place. A child. A younger version of me. The whispers grew louder, swirling around my mind like a storm. And then I remembered. I had been here before. This room. This tower. I had always been here. As a child, I had wandered these halls, touched these walls, played in the shadow of the moon. It had always been a part of me, always there, waiting. The curse wasn't new to me. I had been born into it. The memory was like a crack in the fabric of my mind, and I felt it widen, pulling me deeper into the past. The memory unfolded before me like a dream or a nightmare. I was a child again, standing in a vast, dark room beneath a starless sky. The walls of the tower stretched up into the darkness, and I could hear the sound of something stirring in the shadows. I wasn't alone. There were others with me, other children, their faces pale and hollow, their eyes wide with fear. They had been here longer than I had, lost in the tower, trapped in its grip. "Do you hear it?" one of them whispered. Her voice was ragged, barely audible. "The moon, it speaks to us." I nodded, even though I didn't understand. The voice of the moon was faint, but it was there, called to us. We were its children, and we were meant to serve. The memory broke apart as I was pulled back into the present. I stumbled away from the mirror, the world spinning around me. My head throbbed, and I could barely breathe. The whispers were suffocating now, pressing in on me from all sides. "Join us." The words echoed in my mind, louder than ever. The curse was no longer something I could fight. It was inside me. It had always been inside me. I turned, frantic, my eyes scanning the room. And that's when I saw it. A figure in the doorway. A shadow. Tall, thin, and moving with an unnatural fluidity. It stepped into the room, its presence making the air grow colder. It was him, Joran. But it wasn't Joran anymore. He was something else now. His eyes were dark, hollow. His skin stretched thin across his face, his body twitching in ways that didn't belong to a human. He was the curse, the abyss, the moon. "You're still fighting it," Joran's voice rasped, his lips curling into a grotesque smile. "You can't fight it, you know? It's already taken you, taken all of us." He stepped closer, and the room seemed to shrink around me. The walls pulsed, the floor trembled. "Stop," I begged, my voice weak. "We can still stop it. We have to fight." But Joran only laughed, a sound that made my skin crawl. "You think you can fight the moon?" he whispered. "You're already part of it. All of us are." I reached for my dagger, the cold steel in my hand, but it felt wrong. It felt like holding something foreign, something that didn't belong to me anymore. Joran's form shifted, rippling like smoke. His face blurred, his body distorting, and then he was gone. I couldn't stay in the room any longer. The weight of Joran's words pressed on me, suffocating me, as though I were drowning in them. I had to leave, but where could I go? I stumbled through the corridors, my mind spinning, my body trembling. The tower was changing, shifting with the curse. The walls creaked and groaned as if they were alive. I could hear faint whispers in the distance, voices that didn't belong to anyone I knew. The air was thick with the smell of decay, the scent of something ancient and forgotten. And then I saw it, the entrance to the heart of the tower, the final chamber. I knew without a doubt that it was where the creature, the true source of the curse, lay waiting. It had been calling to me from the very beginning. The whispers, the strange visions, the nightmares. It was all leading here, to the center of the darkness. I stepped forward. The final chamber was vast. The walls were covered in thick, black vines that pulsed with an otherworldly energy, wrapping around the pillars like serpents. The air was thick with the scent of rot, and the ground beneath my feet was slick with something that glowed faintly in the dark. In the center of the room was a large pool of black water, its surface still, reflecting nothing. And there, hovering above the water, was the creature. It was like nothing I had ever seen. It was vast, shifting, a swirling mass of tendrils and eyes, its form both terrifying and mesmerizing. Its countless eyes blinked in strange rhythms, each one fixed on me, as though watching, waiting. It wasn't just a creature. It was the curse, and it was alive. "Welcome," it said, its voice like 1,000 whispers, each one more maddening than the last. "We have been waiting for you." I couldn't move. The presence of the creature, the power it exuded, froze me in place. My mind was shattered, but in that moment I understood. The curse had always been part of me. The creature was the moon. The moon was the curse. It was all the same, an eternal, unending cycle. It was too late. There was no escaping. No resisting. I had come here to destroy it, but now I knew. I had always been meant to join it. I stood at the edge of the black pool, my body trembling, every muscle locked in place. The creature, no, it wasn't just a creature anymore. It was the abyss itself, the manifestation of the curse that had plagued this world long before I had come. The whispers surrounded me, clinging to my skin like an insidious fog, and I could feel the cold pressure of their touch on my mind. "Join us." The words bled into my thoughts, crawling through my skull like worms in rotting flesh. "You belong here. You always have." I gripped the hilt of my dagger, feeling its cold steel. It was the only thing I had left, the only thing that wasn't touched by the curse. But as I tightened my fingers around it, the blade seemed to tremble, as if afraid to strike. The creature's eyes, countless, shifting, endless, focused on me. It was aware of me. It knew me. "You came here to destroy me?" it rumbled, its voice like thunder, filling every corner of the room. "But you do not understand. You are not fighting me. You are fighting yourself." I felt a cold chill run through my veins. The realization hit me like a hammer blow. The curse had never been about destroying the creature. It was about destroying us. "You think you are the first to come?" it continued, its eyes narrowing. "You think you are the first to try? How many before you have fallen to the same fate? How many others have stood here, just like you, and failed?" My thoughts splintered. The whispers clawed at the edges of my mind. "You are not strong enough. You cannot fight this." Couldn't breathe. Couldn't think. The room was spinning, the walls closing in. My knees buckled, and I stumbled, falling to the floor. The air thickened, and the ground seemed to shift beneath me. It was as if the entire tower was alive, moving, breathing. The creature's tendrils writhed in the air, stretching toward me, 1,000 black limbs reaching out. And for a brief moment, I saw faces among them. Faces I recognized. Tessa, Joran, the others. They had all come here just like me. They had all sought to end the curse. But they hadn't destroyed it. They had become it. The truth of it hit me like 1,000 needles piercing my chest. The curse didn't just consume your body, consumed your soul. It warped you, twisted you until you were no longer human. You were a part of the abyss. You became a part of the moon. I tried to fight it. I wanted to fight it. But how could I? How could anyone? A cold laugh echoed through the chamber, breaking through my spiraling thoughts. You still don't understand, do you? The creature whispered. You're here because you belong. Here. You always have. All those who wander into the abyss are drawn by the same hunger, the same emptiness. You think this is a curse, but it is not a curse. It is truth. This is what you were always meant to become. I couldn't stop it. I couldn't stop the twisting feeling inside my gut. The pull. The need. It was like the moon itself was inside me, stretching through my veins, filling every part of me. It was the hunger, the emptiness. It was everything I had been before, and everything I would become. You are not the first to seek freedom, the creature continued, and you won't be the last. But you are the most stubborn. I could hear it now, the chorus of voices rising in the background. The voices of the others who had come before me, all those who had failed. The whispers were overwhelming, suffocating. Join us. Become one with the abyss. Accept your place. I looked down at my hands, at the blood staining my palms, at the trembling fingers that gripped the dagger. It was no longer just the curse of the moon that I fought. It was my own desire to give in. The moon wasn't just in the sky. It was inside me. I wanted it. I could feel it. The darkness was beautiful. The calm. The release. The end of the struggle. But there was something else inside me. A voice that refused to be silenced. A memory of the person I had been before this journey had begun. A person who had fought. A person who still wanted to fight. No, I whispered, barely able to form the word, my voice cracking. I will not become part of you. The creature let out a sound, a low, rumbling growl that echoed through the chamber, shaking the air. You think you have a choice? It sneered. You always had a choice, but it was never yours to make. The moon chooses, the abyss chooses, and you will be chosen. It was then that I saw it. The eyes of the others, Tessa, Joran, the lost ones who had come before us. Their faces were twisted, disfigured, their bodies writhing, their eyes black pits of nothingness. They had become one with the abyss. Their screams filled my mind, echoing through the room. I was not just fighting for my life. I was fighting for my soul. But I couldn't stand. The weight of the curse was too heavy, too oppressive. I felt my knees buckle. I felt my mind slipping. And then I saw it. The thing that had been growing inside me, feeding off my doubt, my fear. The shadow. It was me. It was my shadow, but not just my shadow. It was the version of me that had given up. The part of me that had already surrendered. The part of me that had already joined the abyss. It reached for me, its cold, clawed fingers closing in. No, I whispered again. Not yet. I fought back with everything I had, forcing myself to stand, to raise the dagger high. But my hand trembled, the weight of the weapon feeling heavier than it had ever been before. The creature's tendrils closed in around me, but I thrust the dagger forward, into the darkness. There was no sudden release. No explosion of light or triumph. Only silence. A long, suffocating silence. The creature's form began to flicker. The tendrils retreated, the air growing still. The darkness in the room seemed to shift, like a heavy fog lifting, and for a moment, I thought I had won. That the curse had finally been broken. But then the moon spoke again. The eclipse is upon you. The walls of the tower cracked, and the ceiling above me split open, revealing the true moon. not a pale reflection, but the living, breathing heart of the abyss. And in that moment I knew I had failed. The moon was not a curse that could be defeated. It was a cycle, an endless, eternal cycle. I had not destroyed it. I had only become part of it. And so the abyss claimed me. I woke to the sound of my own breath, slow and deep, echoing in my ears like a drumbeat. The world around me was quiet, too quiet, as if the tower itself had stopped moving, holding its breath. I was lying on the cold, stone floor, my limbs heavy, my body stiff. My skin felt wrong in a way that I couldn't quite place. The air was thick with something unfamiliar. It pressed on me, a suffocating weight, and I realized I couldn't feel the curse anymore. Not in the way I had before. It was inside me now. I didn't need to look to know. I felt the presence, the darkness, crawling beneath my skin like a parasite. The creature's voice still echoed in my mind, distant but insistent. You belong to the abyss now. You are part of me. You are part of the cycle. I tried to sit up, but my body refused to obey. It was as if I were made of stone, my limbs heavy and cold. I opened my eyes, and the world was blurred. No, not blurred, twisted. The walls of the tower were contorting in ways they shouldn't, bending like trees in a storm. I reached out, my fingers brushing the floor, and I felt the vibrations of the tower itself, like a heartbeat. Slow, rhythmic, life. I was connected to it now. I could feel it, feel the pulse of the abyss in my veins. This is it. There is no going back. I forced myself to stand, the stone beneath my feet uneven and shifting, as though the tower were breathing, shifting with me. The darkness inside me stirred, a cold hunger gnawing at my insides. I knew what was coming. The other outcasts, they were with me. I turned, and there they were, rising from the shadows, the others who had come before me. Tessa, Joran, all of them, they were not the same. Their eyes were hollow, their faces stretched tight with fear, their mouths twisted in silent screams. They were empty, but in that emptiness, something terrible had awakened, something far worse than the curse itself. They had become the agents of the abyss. Tessa was the first to speak, her voice hoarse and broken, but still carrying the sharp edge of recognition. "You're awake," she whispered. "I didn't think you'd survive." I felt a pang in my chest, but I couldn't remember what it meant to care. The hunger inside me had dulled the pain, replacing it with a hollow numbness. I didn't choose this," I said, my voice sounding distant, as though it were coming from someone else. Tessa's eyes flickered with something like pity, but it was gone before I could read it. "We never chose it," she replied, her gaze drifting to the others. "None of us did. But we're here now. We've always been here." I took a step forward, the ground beneath me shifting as if it were alive. The tower was bending, folding in on itself, like the very fabric of reality was unraveling. The others, Joran, Chas, and all the others who had died before, were standing motionless, their eyes fixed on something unseen. There was no sign of their former selves left in them. They were shadows now, vessels for the curse, part of the abyss. The thought made my blood run cold. It was true. We had all come here thinking we could end it, break the cycle. But instead, we had become the cycle. The moon had claimed us, just as it claimed all who entered the abyss. "You're not yourself," I said, my voice trembling. You're not human anymore." Tessa's lips curled into a smile, but it wasn't the smile I remembered. It was something darker, colder. "We're not human anymore, no. But we're more than that now, aren't we? We're part of the moon. We are eternal." The curse was not just an external force. It had never been. The hollow moon didn't simply destroy. It reconstructed, turned us into its own reflection. We were pieces of the same cycle, living through each phase, like the phases of the moon itself, waxing, waning, dying, and rebirthing. I could feel it now, deep in my core. The moon's power was not something I could fight. It was not something I could escape. It was woven into me, into my very being. "We have to stop it," I said, the words feeling strange as they left my mouth. I wanted to believe them, but deep down I knew. There was no stopping it. No resisting. The moon had already won. Tessa shook her head slowly, her expression one of pity. You still think you can fight? It's too late for that, don't you see? The curse is inside you now. Inside all of us. We are the curse. There's no going back. Her words sank into me, deeper than I wanted them to, but I couldn't deny them. My thoughts were fractured, my mind split between the old me, the person who had once fought, and the new me, the one that was already part of the abyss. You're right, I whispered, more to myself than to her. There's no going back. I looked at the others. Their faces were empty, but their eyes, those eyes were full of something, a knowledge and understanding that I had lost. They were no longer human. They were something worse, something deeper. They were the agents of the hollow moon. You'll see, Tessa said, her voice cold and final. We are part of the cycle now. We are the ones who will bring others here. We will bring more into the abyss. We are the new moon. I felt the darkness stir again, a cold shiver running through me as the full weight of what she was saying hit me. We were the cycle. We were the curse now. And so we moved through the tower, walking in silent procession. The structure groaned around us, its walls shifting as if alive. The darkness that had consumed us now pulsed with a terrible energy, feeding us, guiding us. The others were not the same as before. They were hollow shells of the people they had once been, but their eyes, those eyes, still held the essence of who they had been. And yet it was fading, slowly, surely. I could feel it happening to me, too. The memories of who I had been, of what I had fought for, were slipping away, slipping through my fingers like sand. The hunger gnawed at me, the emptiness inside me growing with every passing moment. I wanted to fight it. I wanted to scream, but the screams were already fading, drowned out by the endless whispers of the abyss. Join us. The voice echoed through my mind, and for the first time, I didn't resist. I didn't need to. We were the new moon. We were the harbingers of the curse. And the cycle would continue. The world outside the tower was dying. I could feel it in my bones, the way the earth trembled beneath me, the way the sky hung heavy with the weight of something unnatural. The hollow moon, no longer a distant, ominous presence, was now part of the very air, pressing down on the world like a vice. The sky was wrong. Where once there had been stars, now there was only darkness. A darkness that seeped into every corner of the land, casting long shadows that twisted and writhed like living things. The sun no longer rose the same way. The light that filtered through the sky was dim, cold. The warmth was gone. And the people, they were beginning to change, too. I saw it in their eyes first. A dullness, a vacancy, as if something inside them had already withered, hollowed out. Those who had not yet succumbed to the curse wandered the streets, confused, lost in the growing shadow. They didn't understand what was happening to them, but they felt it, the hunger, the emptiness. It gnawed at them just like it had gnawed at me. In every village, in every town, the transformation had begun. People who had once laughed, loved, fought for survival, they were becoming shells. Empty husks walking through the motions, their eyes turned upward to the hollow moon, waiting for the inevitable. It had already started. The hollow moon had begun to influence them, warp them. Slowly, surely. Far from the tower, in a small village at the edge of the plains, a man named Kale stood alone in a field. He looked up at the sky, his hands shaking as the darkness above him pressed in. He had heard the whispers. He had seen the signs, heard the strange, distant echoes in the wind. But he had refused to believe them. Not until today. The crops had died overnight. The cattle had fallen ill, their eyes glazed, their bodies stiff. The people of the village had gathered, trying to make sense of it. But there was no explanation. No disease. No storm. Just death. And now the sky. He had heard the stories. The old legends. The ones about the moon that had once been whole. The one that had been shattered long ago and left the world in ruin. The one that had returned. The hollow moon. But Kale didn't believe in such things. Not until the day the sun stopped rising. The day the curse began to spread. He could feel it now, something tugging at his soul, something pulling him toward the sky. The hunger, the emptiness. Kale dropped to his knees in the field, his hands clutching the earth, trying to hold on to something real. But he felt it slipping, like sand through his fingers. He could hear it now, whispers, faint at first, then growing louder. 1,000 voices, calling to him from the darkness above. He looked up. There, in the center of the sky, the moon hung like a black wound in the heavens. Its presence was undeniable, consuming everything in its gaze. He could feel the call. It was inside him now, like a sickness, a parasite that had found its way deep into his bones. The darkness stretched down, swallowing the land, turning the air to poison. He opened his mouth, but the words wouldn't come. The hunger in him was too strong. Then, as the sky bled into night, Kale felt it. A cold, sharp touch on his skin. And then he understood. He was not alone. He had never been alone. The moon had always been inside him, inside all of them. The curse had always been waiting. And now he was part of it. In the cities and towns, the infection spread faster than anyone could understand. It started with the whispers, soft, imperceptible at first, but growing louder as time went on. The people who heard them would begin to act strangely, eyes glazed, voices hollow, until they, too, were consumed by the curse. The hollow walkers, as they came to be called, moved like shadows through the streets, their faces vacant, their eyes unblinking, staring at the stars as if they could see beyond them. They were the first to fall, the first to be fully claimed. But the curse didn't end there. It didn't stop with them. It spread like a plague, like wildfire, devouring anyone who looked to the sky, anyone who felt the pull of the hollow moon. And those who resisted, it twisted them, broke their wills until they too fell silent, their identities erased. The world was changing, and the people who fought were growing fewer. I had seen it before. The transformation, the shadow inside me, the creeping, gnawing hunger. I had thought I could fight it, that I could resist, but now I knew better. There was no escape. I wasn't just watching the world die. I was part of it. We, the outcasts, had become the first wave. We were the vessels, the new agents of the curse, sent out to carry it across the land. But we were more than just messengers. We were the first to walk the earth as the hollow moon's children. There was no going back. There was no redemption. I could hear Tessa's voice, distant but clear in my mind. We are the new moon. Her words haunted me now, an echo that refused to fade. And soon I realized I would not be alone. There were others, people who had already begun to change. They would carry the curse forward, just as we had. They would spread it across the land, until there was nothing left but darkness. The world would fall, and the hollow moon would remain. As the days wore on, the world began to break apart. It wasn't just the land, though that was withering too. The rivers ran dry, the forests turned black, and the cities crumbled under the weight of the curse. But it was the people that I watched most closely. The outcasts, the survivors, and those who had been touched by the hollow moon's pull. They began to fade. There were no more cries of resistance, no more attempts to stop the curse. The struggle had ended. The moon had won. I walked among the hollow walkers, my mind still partially my own, but distant, as though I were floating above my body. I could hear their whispers, the same whispers I had heard in the tower. Join us. Become one. Become part of the moon. The darkness inside me stirred. A cold, irresistible hunger. But I resisted. For now, I could still remember who I had been. I could still feel the remnants of the person I was, the fighter, the one who had resisted. But it was fading. And soon, I would be nothing but another face in the crowd of hollow walkers. Another agent of the curse. Another child of the hollow moon. The world outside the tower was dying, but inside me, I felt the birth of something new, something endless. The last remnants of the world I had known were slipping through my fingers like water, and I couldn't stop it. I tried. I did. I fought every day to hold on to the pieces of who I was, the person who had once stood against the darkness, the person who had hoped that there was something left worth saving. But I could feel it all fading now. The hunger, the emptiness. It was inside me, coiling tighter with every passing moment. There were no more people, at least not in the way I remembered. The hollow walkers, the ones who had been consumed by the curse, had become something else entirely. They were the carriers, the vessels, the ones who brought the moon's influence to every corner of the world. And soon I would join them. Tessa walked beside me, her face pale and empty, her eyes hollow pits of darkness. She had already crossed over, had already become one with the moon. I could feel her presence, like a shadow wrapping itself around my mind. "We are the moon now," she whispered, her voice flat, devoid of emotion. "We are the beginning and the end. The curse will never end. Not now. Not ever." I nodded. I understood. The cycle had begun, and we were its architects. I could still remember the day I had arrived at the tower, full of defiance, full of hope. I had believed that we could stop it, that we could break the curse. But the truth was, the curse was the world. It had always been. The moon was not just a celestial body. It was a force of nature, an eternal cycle of decay and rebirth. It wasn't something that could be destroyed. It was something that had always existed and always would. And now I was a part of it. We all were. I felt the change inside me before I saw it. At first, it was subtle, just a small tremor in my bones, a flicker of darkness behind my eyes. But now, as the days stretched on, I could feel it growing stronger. The hunger, the emptiness, the pull of the hollow moon inside me, like a sickening weight in my chest. It wasn't just my body that was changing. It was my very soul. I saw it in the others too. Their eyes were starting to lose focus, their movements jerky, their faces gaunt and lifeless. They were no longer the people they had been. They were becoming something else, something darker. Joran, once the strongest of us, had already started to slip away. His eyes were glassy, his hands twitching as if they had a will of their own. He no longer spoke, but when he looked at me, I could see the faintest glimmer of recognition, a glimmer of the man he had been. But it was fading, and when it was gone, there would be nothing left but the curse. The others began to follow Joran, their transformations speeding up. Chassa's face grew pale, her lips cracked and bloodless. She clawed at her own skin, desperate to tear away whatever was left of the human inside her. But the more she fought, the more it consumed her. We were all losing ourselves. The hollow moon was not just a curse of the body. It was a curse of the soul. It devoured everything, piece by piece, until there was nothing left but the cycle. And soon there would be no them left, only the abyss. I caught a fleeting moment of clarity, just a brief instant where the fog lifted, and I could remember who I had been. A shadow of a person, a fragment of the past. I was standing alone in the tower now, the others nowhere to be seen. I could hear the whispers, faint and distant, like 1,000 voices speaking at once, filling my mind. "Join us." The voice of the creature, the abyss itself, was always present now, coiling through my thoughts like a serpent, filling the empty spaces between my memories. But for that moment I remembered. I remembered the woman I had been, the one who had dared to defy the moon, the one who had fought, who had loved, who had once believed in something beyond the darkness. The brief memory cut through me like a knife, and I gasped, clutching at my chest. The pain was sharp, but it was the pain of living, of being alive. But that was fading, too. The moment slipped away, and the hunger returned. I fell to my knees, clutching at the ground. The floor beneath me shifted like liquid, the tower itself groaning in response to my struggle. There was no escaping it. No matter how hard I fought, the curse had already consumed me. When I awoke again, it was in the fields. The village was long gone, the homes destroyed, the streets empty. Only the hollow walkers remained, their bodies now fully consumed by the curse. I stood among them now, one of them, a child of the hollow moon. I had no name, no memories of who I had once been. I was nothing but an echo. The others, Tessa, Joran, Chas, they were with me. But they weren't them anymore. They were no longer people. They were shadows of the past, vessels of the curse. And now I too was like them. The hunger was inside me, gnawing at my insides, but it was different now. It wasn't a sickness. It was a purpose. We were no longer individuals. We were the new agents of the moon, the ones who would spread its influence across the world. We would bring the curse to every corner of the earth, until there was nothing left but darkness. The world outside was dying, but we were its new masters, the hollow moon's children, sent to carry the curse forward, eternal and unbroken. And we would never stop. The moon hung high in the sky, black as pitch, its presence a weight on the world. The sky itself seemed to tremble under its gaze. I could hear the whispers again, faint but insistent. Join us, become one, become the curse. I closed my eyes, but there was no escape, and so the cycle would continue. The hollow moon would rise and it would fall, and with it the world would burn and be reborn in the endless, eternal night. The cycle is unbroken. The world was falling into ruin, but somewhere, deep within the heart of it, a spark still burned. Not everyone had been consumed by the hollow moon's curse. There were those, scattered across the crumbling cities and villages, who still held on to what remained of their sanity, their memories. They had heard the stories, the whispered rumors, the accounts of the hollow walkers that had spread like wildfire. They had seen the sun grow dim, the skies turn black, the land wither and die. But they hadn't yet fallen. Not entirely. The group I had once belonged to had become the face of the curse. The new moon. We were the ones who spread it, who carried its weight across the land. But there were still others, those who hadn't yet been claimed. Those who still fought, even if they no longer understood what they were fighting for. In the ruins of a town I once knew, a small band of survivors had taken refuge. They lived in the shadows now, hiding from the hollow walkers, terrified of the ever-present moon overhead. They were few, too few, but they were still there. I watched them from the edge of the woods, hidden among the dying trees, the darkness around me like a shroud. My presence alone sent a shiver through the air. They would sense me soon. They always did. How long until they fall? That was what I wondered as I watched them huddle together in their makeshift shelter, faces drawn with exhaustion and fear. They were fighting, but it was a fight they couldn't win. Not against the moon, not against the abyss. And yet, they fought. The survivors had their leader, a woman named Cora. She was a soldier once before the world had fallen, before the hollow moon had descended. She still carried the remnants of that strength within her, her eyes hard with determination, even as the terror of the moon gnawed at her. I had seen her before. She had been there back in the early days when we had tried to stop it, when we had still believed in victory. She had been one of the few who had dared to defy the moon, to stand with us, to fight. But now she was different. Now, she was the last flicker of something that could not accept the truth that we were all already lost. She stood at the edge of the firelight, her gaze fixed on the sky, her jaw clenched, her brow furrowed. Her hand was always near the hilt of her sword, as if expecting a fight at any moment. She does not understand yet. I knew that. She didn't realize that the fight was over. She didn't see that the curse wasn't just something to be beaten back with steel and fire. It was something far worse. Something that had always been a part of this world. The moon had. You can replace this text with any text you wish. You can either write in this text box or paste your own text here. Try different languages and voices. Change the speed and the pitch of the voice. You can even tweak the SSML, speech synthesis markup language, to control how the different sections of the text sound. Click on SSML above to give it a try. Enjoy using text-to-speech, ways no one understands. It's whispers curling through our minds, telling us what to do, how to move, when to strike. I used to hear my heartbeat. Now all I hear is the whisper of the moon. We, the hollow walkers, move as one. There is no more individuality. There are no more names. There is no I. There is only the we. I feel it now, the collective consciousness of the hollow walkers, the pull that binds us all together. We are not alone, but neither are we individuals. We are part of something greater. The hollow moon has claimed us, body and soul. And as we move together, I feel the whispers in my mind grow louder, more insistent. It's a hunger, a thirst. It gnaws at me from the inside out, urging me to spread the curse. I don't know what it is to be me anymore. I don't know what it is to be human. But I know the hunger, and I know the call. We walk through the world now, and wherever we go, we bring the moon with us. We are not the harbingers of the end. We are the end. There is no world left but the curse. There is no world left but the hollow moon. There is no escape. And as I walk with the others, Tessa, Joran, Chas, I can feel them. They are as I am now. We are one in the curse. We are the new moon, the beginning and the end. We are the eternal cycle. There are moments, fleeting moments, like the dying light of a candle, when the curse loosens its grip just long enough for me to remember. I remember Tessa's smile. I remember Joran's voice, full of strength and defiance. I remember Chas's laugh, the way she used to tease me about my habit of staying up late, scribbling in the corners of the tower. But those moments don't last long. They are like dreams, quick, insubstantial, fading as soon as I try to grasp them. The hunger pulls me back, deeper, faster. The moon calls to me, and I have no choice but to follow. There is no other way. I have no other purpose. The curse has consumed everything that was once me, and now I am the cycle. I am the hollow walker, and I will bring the curse to the ends of the earth. I can feel the others now more than I ever have before. We are not individuals. We are not human. We are the hollow ones. We are the ones who carry the curse. We are the ones who spread it. Tessa's presence is like a shadow in my mind. Her voice is no longer her own, but a part of the hollow moon. It speaks through her, speaks through all of us. Join us. Become one with the moon. Joran is there too. I can feel him, distant but close. He is not the man he once was. No, he is the moon now. He is its agent. He is its voice. Chas too. She is not herself anymore. Her memories are gone, replaced by the hunger. The call of the moon. There are others, so many others, scattered across the land. They are like us. They have lost everything. They are now the hollow ones. We are the agents of the curse, and we are eternal. There is no end to us. There is no escape. There are times, brief flashes, when I feel the loss of myself, the absence of who I once was. It is a pain like no other, a cold emptiness that gnaws at my insides. But I cannot remember what it felt like to be alive. What is life when you no longer have a soul to live it? What is memory when your past is nothing but a fading echo? What is hope when you have already crossed the threshold of despair? I am no longer an individual. I am no longer a person. I am nothing but a vessel, a hollow walker. I remember the world before the moon, but that world is gone. It no longer matters. There is only the hunger, the endless hunger, and the call of the hollow moon. The world is ours now. The curse spreads with every step we take, with every person we touch. The hollow walkers are no longer just a few. There are hundreds of us now, maybe thousands. We have become the true masters of this world. There are no more survivors. There are no more rebellions. There is only the cycle, the endless march of the hollow ones, bringing the curse wherever we go. The world crumbles in our wake. The cities burn. The forests rot. The rivers dry up. And still we march. We are the hollow walkers. We are the curse. And we are forever. I look up at the sky now, and I no longer see the world I once knew. I see only the hollow moon, hanging in the sky like a black wound. It is not just the moon. It is not just a celestial body. It is the end. It is the beginning. The hollow moon is the source of the curse. It is the cycle. It is the hunger. And we are the ones who carry it. There is no escape. There is no hope. There is only the curse. The hollow moon. And we are the hollow moon. The sky above us is black, as it always has been. The stars are gone, swallowed whole by the endless abyss that now consumes the heavens. Only the hollow moon remains, a cold, ever-watchful eye in the sky, its dark influence pulsing with a quiet, insidious rhythm. I stand beneath it now, the moon casting its hollow light across the desolate landscape, and I can feel it in my bones. The weight of it, the pull of the curse. At one time, I would have called it a prison, a thing to be fought against. But now I understand. I understand what we are, what we have become. I thought I could still feel the flickers of the woman I was. I thought I could still hear the echoes of her thoughts, the fighter, the warrior, the one who dared to stand against the dark. But those thoughts are gone. There is no her anymore. There is only the hunger. There is only the moon. We walk through the world, and with each step, we leave only emptiness behind. The land is already crumbling under the weight of the curse, and soon, there will be nothing left, just dust and echoes. The hollow walkers, we have become the darkness. We are its servants, its agents, the carriers of the curse. The hunger is not just a gnawing at the flesh. It is deeper, darker. It is a part of us now. It is the very marrow of our bones. I can feel the others. They are not here anymore. They are in my mind. We are in each other's minds. Tessa, Joran, Chas, they are with me. But they are not people anymore. They are shadows of the moon. Join us. It is the voice of the moon. The hollow moon speaks through us, through me. And I understand now. The moon doesn't want us to destroy the world. It wants us to become it. The curse is not something we fight. It is something we are. And we will carry it until the end of time. There was a time when I could hear my heartbeat, when I could feel the blood rushing through my veins, when I knew that I was alive. But now there is only silence. There is only the whisper of the moon. There is no me. There is no you. There is only the curse. I have forgotten what it felt like to be human. I have forgotten the taste of food, the feel of warmth on my skin, the sound of my own voice. I have forgotten what it meant to love, to hope, to dream. And I no longer care. The hunger is everything. The moon is everything. I no longer question. I no longer feel. I no longer need. There is no me anymore. There is only the hollow moon. We move, step by step, across the desolate plains. The land beneath our feet cracks and crumbles, as if it, too, is succumbing to the weight of the curse. We pass through ruined cities, through villages turned to dust. There are no survivors, no hope left. The people are gone. But we remain. We are the hollow walkers, and we are the eternal agents of the curse. I used to wonder if there could be a way to stop this. I used to wonder if there could be a cure, if we could ever free ourselves from the pull of the moon. But now I know. The curse is not a sickness. It is not something that can be cured. It is something we were always meant to be. It is not something to fight. It is something to embrace. I feel it again, that gnawing hunger. It rises from deep within me, clawing at my insides, urging me forward. I am no longer me. I am no longer a person. I am a vessel, a conduit for the moon's power. The hunger is a part of me now. It is the void within me. It is my purpose. It is my reason for existing. The hollow walkers, we are its hands, its mouth, its eyes. We are the moon's reach in the world. And we will spread its curse until there is nothing left. The others feel it too, I know. I feel them in the corners of my mind, their presence like shadows that linger, forever intertwined with mine. Tessa, Joran, Chas, we are no longer individuals. We are one in the moon's curse. The hunger pulls us onward. We are the hunger. We are the moon. There is no escape from this. There is no redemption. There is only the cycle. I used to be human. I used to be a fighter, a rebel. I used to dream of freedom. But those dreams are gone now. The hollow moon is the only truth left in this world. And the truth is this: there is no beginning and no end. There is only the cycle, the eternal, unbroken curse that devours all, until nothing remains but the void. We, the hollow walkers, are the cycle now. We are the beginning and the end. We are the curse that will never end. And as the hollow moon rises above us, casting its shadow across the world, we march forward. We are the hollow ones. We are the moon's eternal children. We are the curse, and we will never stop. The land is silent now. Where once there was life, trees stretching toward a sun that no longer rises, rivers that used to sing their winding songs. There is nothing but dust. The sky above is a flat, impenetrable black, a dead ocean where the stars have long since vanished. The hollow moon hangs above us, cold and eternal, casting its pale, sickly light over the remains of a world that was. I used to wonder if there would be a time when the curse would end, when the hollow moon's hunger would finally be satisfied, when its grip would loosen. But now, I know better. There will be no end. There will be no escape. The cycle is all there is. I have seen the others fade. Tessa, Joran, Chas. They were once the heart of our resistance. We fought side by side, desperate to stave off the moon's influence. But now they have become nothing more than shades, hollowed out by the curse, their faces twisted, their voices empty. Their memories are gone, consumed by the hunger of the hollow moon. They no longer remember who they were, and neither do I, but I feel them still, not as individuals but as part of the whole. We are the hollow walkers now. We are the hollow ones, and together we carry the curse. There are no other survivors. There are no rebels. There is no hope. The world is ours. We are the hollow moon's will made flesh, and we will march forever, spreading its darkness until nothing remains but the silence. The cities are gone. The forests are gone. The oceans are dried up, their depths turned to ash. There is no sound, save the soft, endless rustling of dust in the wind. I walk through the remains of the world, and I feel nothing. There is no pain. There is no joy. There is no anger or fear. There is only the hollow moon, and the curse that binds us all. The hunger stirs within me, always. It is the only thing that remains. It is the only thing that is real, and it is the only thing that matters. I remember a time when I felt the warmth of the sun on my skin. I remember the taste of food, the sound of laughter. I remember what it was like to be alive. But those memories are fading, just like the world. Now there is only the void, and the moon. There is nothing left but the hollow walkers, and we move like a tide of shadow, sweeping across the barren lands. We no longer speak. We no longer feel the need to communicate. We are part of a greater whole now. We are the moon's voice. Each step we take is the inevitable unfolding of the curse. The world is dying, but it has already died. There is no past anymore. There is only the now, the endless march. We are the final song of a dying world, and we will never stop. We stand on the edge of a cliff now, the hollow walkers gathered beneath the endless sky. We do not look at each other. We do not need to. We feel each other, connected by the hollow moon's influence, bound by the curse that flows through our veins. The land below us is barren. The earth itself has withered away, leaving only the remnants of broken stone and dust. The wind is dry, like the breath of death itself. This is the end. There are no more battles, no more resistance, no more hope. The hollow moon is the ruler of all. I feel its presence as a weight in my chest, cold and heavy. I have become one with it. I have become part of the curse, and there is no turning back. The sky above us is a flat, endless black. The hollow moon is the only thing that remains. The world is gone. The land is gone. There is nothing left but the hollow walkers and the hollow moon. And we are eternal. There is no time. There is no space. There is no future or past. There is only the cycle. The endless, unbroken cycle that we are doomed to repeat forever. We are the hollow ones. We are the curse made flesh. And we will march through this world, spreading the darkness until there is nothing left but the silence of the moon. And when we are gone, when the last of us has faded into nothingness, the curse will remain. It will linger in the soil, in the sky, in the very bones of the earth. For the hollow moon is eternal. And so too are we. I stand alone now, my thoughts empty, my body a mere shell. The hunger gnaws at me, the curse twisting deeper inside my soul. There is no one left to talk to, no one left to remember. The world is dead, but I do not mourn. I do not feel anything. The hollow moon watches me from above. It's cold, Unblinking, I fixed on this shattered world. It is all that remains. And I am nothing. The world is dead. It has been for what feels like an eternity. I stand with the others, the hollow walkers, no longer individuals but part of something far greater. The curse flows through us like blood, binding us to the hollow moon, to the eternal cycle. We are the vessels of destruction. We are its hands, its feet, its eyes. And yet, something is stirring within me. Something that shouldn't be possible. A feeling, the thought, a question. Why? For so long, I have not questioned the hollow moon. I have been the hollow moon. I am the curse made flesh. But now the hunger is different. It itches at the back of my mind, not just for destruction, but for answers. I know what I am. I know what I was meant to be, but I cannot ignore it anymore. The others sense it too. Their minds, though clouded by the moon's influence, are stirred by this strange, impossible spark of awareness. We are not the same as we were. We are still the hollow walkers, yes, but there is something new now. A crack in the cycle, a moment of hesitation. For the first time in centuries, I hear my own thoughts. Not the whispers of the moon, not the hunger, just me. We walk through the remnants of a shattered city, the hollow sky above us an endless void. The wind stirs the dust at our feet, carrying with it the scent of decay, the last breath of a dying world. But now I am not alone. I feel the others beside me, Tessa, Joran, Chas, and they too are beginning to wake up. The hollow moon's grip on our minds is loosening, even if just for a moment. Do you feel it? Tessa's voice is faint, like a memory, but it is hers. For the first time in so long, she speaks with her own will. I feel it, I whisper back. We have to reach the center of the curse, Joran says, his voice still distant, like he's speaking from underwater. We have to go to the heart of the hollow moon. The heart. The hollow moon's power radiates from its core, its heart. If we can reach it, perhaps we can understand it, maybe even undo it. But the heart of the hollow moon is a place of unimaginable darkness. A place where time and space twist and collapse. A place where the curse itself was born. We do not know what we will find there. But I know this. It is the only way. We travel deeper into the land of dust, toward the black mountain that pierces the sky like a jagged fang. It is said that this mountain is the birthplace of the hollow moon, where the curse began. The stories tell of an ancient force, one that came from beyond the stars, hungry and relentless. But as we draw closer, the hunger inside me begins to feel different. It's not just destruction, it's control. The hollow moon has always been about control, control over life, over death, over the very fabric of the world. The curse was never just about wiping out humanity. It was about rewriting existence. The more I think about it, the more I realize we were never meant to be servants. We were meant to be vessels, vessels to carry out the hollow moon's will. And the hollow moon's will is not just to destroy, but to replace everything. The world is not the end. It is only the beginning of the next cycle. The curse feeds on its own destruction, so that it can rebuild over and over ad infinitum. And in its heart lies the power to bring about the next cycle, to birth a new world, a new race, a new curse. We are the bridge, the tool for that rebirth. We reach the summit of the Black Mountain. The sky here is unlike anything I have ever seen. The stars are gone, yes, but in their place is a swirling, pulsing darkness, a swirling mass of energy, an enormous eye that seems to stare directly at us. The hollow moon. It is not just a celestial body. It is a living, breathing entity, and it speaks to us, not with words, but with its presence. It floods our minds with images, emotions, visions. The moon does not want us to destroy the world. It does not want us to end the curse. It wants to consume it. It wants to become everything. It has already won, and we are merely its agents. But as we stand here, looking at the center of its power, something inside me snaps. This is the moment, the choice. We could submit to the moon. We could become its eternal servants, carrying out its will, forever caught in the endless cycle of destruction and rebirth. Or we could end it, We could destroy the heart of the hollow moon, ending the cycle, erasing the curse forever. The hollow moon pulses with power, its energy thrumming through our bodies. I feel it pulling at me, trying to take control, to make me kneel before it. The hunger rises, but this time, I feel something else, something stronger. Resistance. Do you feel that? Chas asks. Her voice is steady, her gaze unwavering. She is not the hollow walker I once knew, but she is here. The real Chas is here. I feel it, I reply. Tessa, Joran, and I exchange a look. It is not a look of defiance, but of understanding. We have been the curse for so long. We have carried it. We have been bound to it. But we are more than that. Now, I whisper, more to myself than anyone else. With all the strength I have left, I raise my hand, and I reach for the heart of the hollow moon. The moon's power thrashes, surging against me, but I do not let go. And then, a shudder runs through me. The curse, the cycle, fights back, but I will not submit. I will not become its vessel any longer. Together, we reach the heart, and with a final, desperate cry, we shatter it. The world goes silent. The sky, once a dark and empty abyss, begins to fade. The energy of the hollow moon begins to dissipate, like smoke in the wind. The pulse that had driven the curse for so long is gone, and with it, the hollow moon's influence. For the first time in what feels like eternity, I feel the sun. It is faint at first, just a glimmer on the horizon, but it is enough. We are free. The curse is no more. The hollow moon is no more, and the cycle is finally broken. We stand in the aftermath, gazing out at the world we thought was lost forever. The land is still barren, still broken, but there is something new in the air. Faint, fragile hope. The hollow walkers, the curse, we are no longer that. We are free. The world is broken, but it is not beyond repair. The sun will rise again. The cycle is over. And we, who once carried the curse, will be its last witnesses.